Good morning, grade 5 students, and welcome to our English video lesson. Today we will study Module 4, Our World, Part 2. Our lesson today is going to be based on the previous lesson, Our World, but we will be looking at the grammar. Let's take a look at our learning objectives for today. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to Number 1. Identify the rule of had to. Number 2. Use had to correctly in speaking and in writing. For our lesson today, we will be looking at student book page 47 and workbook page 38. Make sure you open the right pages. This is the lesson you studied before in student book page 46. Remember what the lesson was about? Yes, that's true. It was about a trip to the safari. We will look at this paragraph, specifically this sentence. We had to get in the car. What does had to mean? Does it remind you of any other grammar rule? Yes, had to is the past form of have to. But when do we use it and how do we use it? That's what we are going to learn today. This is Khalid and his family. The boy in picture number 1 is Khalid. The woman in picture number 2 is his mother. The man in picture number 3 is his father. And the girl in picture number 4 is his sister. Khalid, his mother, his father, and his sister were all home yesterday, and they had to do different things. They are going to share with us what they had to do yesterday. Let's listen together.
I had to study for a quiz.
I didn't have to study. I had to wash the car.
I had to bake a cake.
I didn't have to bake. I had to clean my room.
So, as we learned, Khalid had to study. But did his father have to study too? Of course not. His father didn't have to study. He had to wash the car. His mother had to bake. But his sister didn't have to bake. She had to clean. Notice the words in green and in red. This is simply what we are going to focus on today. Had to and didn't have to. Let's start by learning when do we use had to. Well, we use had to and its negative form didn't have to express obligation or lack of obligation in the past. For example, I had to go to school every day when I was young. I didn't have to be there early. If you take a look at the table, you will see that we can use had to or didn't have to with all pronouns. As we said earlier, we use had to or didn't have to talk about the past. So, the time expressions we use in the sentences should reflect the past. There are 3 time expressions that are used with had to or didn't have to. Number 1, the word yesterday. For example, yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon. The second word is last. For example, last Monday, last night, last year. And number 3, the word ago. For example, 2 days ago, a week ago. Now let's take a look at how we can form sentences using the affirmative and the negative form of had to. We will start with the affirmative form. It's made of a pronoun followed by had to and then the verb in the infinitive form. That's without adding any extra letters to the verb. For example, she had to sleep. They had to travel. Now let's move to the negative form of had to. We will start also with a pronoun, but this time we will follow it with didn't have to, and then finally the verb in the infinitive form. For example, he didn't have to cook. We didn't have to leave. What did you notice? Do we use the verb had in the negative form? No, we don't. We use have instead. We say didn't have to. And as you can see, we can use both forms, the negative and the affirmative, with all pronouns and names. To help us learn more about the negative and the affirmative form of had to, meet Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali will help us with this activity. Listen to what he had to do or didn't have to do yesterday.
I had to go to work. I didn't have to visit my friend. Did you have to go to work?
So, what do we call the first sentence? Is it affirmative or negative? Yes, that's true. It's an affirmative sentence. Why? Because we don't see the word not. I had to go to work. It's an affirmative sentence. Good. What about the second sentence? Is it affirmative or negative? That's right. It's negative. Why? Because we can see the word not. I didn't have to visit my friend. Notice, we can't say didn't had to. We say didn't have to. Okay, now what about number 3? Is it an affirmative or a negative sentence? Or is it something else? You're right again. It's not a sentence, it's a question. So, how do we form a question using had to? Let's take a look. Now, as you saw in the previous activity, there was a sentence in the affirmative form, another sentence in the negative form, and then there was a question. So now it's time for us to learn how to form a question using had to. Take a quick look at this table and let's discuss how to form the question. Forming a question using had to is very easy. We will start with the verb did, we will follow it with a pronoun, then have to, and at the end we will put the verb followed by a question mark. For example, did you have to study? Did he have to travel? It's very easy, right? Let's do a quick practice. Here are some words that I need you to put in order to form a question. Do you remember which word should be in the start? Excellent. We should start our question with the word did. Then what? Do we put have to or do we put the name first? Excellent. We put the name. So did Saleh, and then we add have to, and we follow it with the verb. So the question should be like this. Did Saleh have to study English? Excellent. Okay, my dear students, I think it's time for us to practice more. Are you ready? Take a look at these two pictures. This is Muna. We are going to describe what Muna had to or didn't have to do yesterday. So, let's take a look at picture number 1. Did Muna have to help her mom? No. Muna didn't have to help her mom yesterday. What did she have to do then? Take a look at picture number 2. She had to study math. Excellent. Let's see this one together. This is Jake. Take a look at the pictures and try to complete the sentences. Ask yourself, did Jake have to water the plants or did he have to clean the car? I will give you a few seconds. Try to finish the 2 sentences. So, what is the answer for sentence number 1? Jake watered plants yesterday. What did you put in the space? Excellent! Jake didn't have to water the plants yesterday. What about sentence number 2? What did you put in this space? Very good! He had to clean the car. Well done! For more practice on the negative and the affirmative form of had to, let's go to workbook page 38, exercise number 2. In this exercise, you are going to do like we did in the previous activity. Look at the pictures and write sentences using had to or didn't have to. Now, pause the video until you finish all the sentences and come back when you are ready to check your answers. Okay, are you done? Ready to check your answers? Here we go. Let's start with number 2. Salim and Ali didn't have to study. They had to feed the fish. Number 3. Beth didn't have to go to work. She had to clean the house. Now let's see the last one, number 4. Ken didn't have to play basketball. He had to do his homework. Did you finish writing? Did you get all the answers correctly? Excellent. Do you know what time it is now? It's time for us to chat. Open your student book, page 47, exercise number 5. In this picture, you can see many people. Mark, Mr. Green, Tom, and the other guys. They were in the countryside. I want you to take a look at the picture and tell me what they had to do or didn't have to do when they were there. You can use the ideas in the blue box. For example, take a look at Tim. Tim didn't have to cook. He had to take photos. Now it's your turn. You can use the ideas in the blue box to ask and answer your classmates like this picture. Remember, my dear students, this is how we form a question using had to. And this is how we form the answer using affirmative or negative sentences. Now, pause the video until you are done asking and answering your classmates. For the last activity for today, I want you to go back to the picture in exercise 5, but this time we are going to write. I want you to choose one of the people in the picture, then write one sentence to describe what he had to do and another sentence to describe what he didn't have to do. I will go first and I will show you an example. I will choose Mr. Brian. Can you see him? He's the one on the right. Mr. Brian didn't have to cook. He had to wash the tent. Okay, let me do another one with you. This time I will choose Tim. Can you see him? He's the one in the red t-shirt next to the lake. Okay, Tim didn't have to plant trees. He had to take photos. It's very easy, right? Okay, now it's your turn. Take a look at the picture and use the ideas in the blue box to describe what they had or didn't have to do. Pause the video until you finish writing. Great job, my dear students. We have finished our lesson for today. Let's take a look at what we have done. Number 1, we identified the rule of had to. Number 2, we used had to correctly in speaking and in writing. Thank you, Grade 5, for watching this video and see you soon. Goodbye.